Canada's defense minister says the government is looking at intercontinental ballistic missile defense. This is part of a larger review of what is needed to better protect North America from attack. Anita Anand says Canada is weighing the option of joining the U.S. in actively defending against such missiles. The question has repeatedly reared its head as concerns rise about North Korea's growing nuclear arsenal and Russian aggression. Canada opted out of the U.S. ballistic missile defense program following a heated national debate in 2005. Well, joining us now to discuss ballistic missile defense is Dr. Rob Huebert, Arctic and defense expert and an associate professor at the University of Calgary. Sir, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is a ballistic missile and how do such defense systems work?
Well, a ballistic missile, in its simplest way, is a missile that is able to enter into the atmosphere. So it's basically, once you get it into a semi-orbit, it is then able to come in and strike any target on Earth. And what happened once a ballistic missile was developed, and that was, of course, going back to Sputnik in 1959, both the Americans and the Soviets realized that was the means by which you could send a nuclear warhead onto any target anywhere in the international system, and it became the weapon of choice of both sides, both by launching by submarines, land-based, and there were some aircraft launched systems that were developed, but it was land and sea that were the primary usage of this delivery.
Sounds like a very dangerous weapon. Now, we mentioned Canada previously opted out of the U.S. ballistic missile defense program after a heated national debate in 2005. Can you unpack that debate for us?
Well, I got to push back a little bit. It wasn't a heated debate. We didn't have a debate on it. Part of the problem is that everybody was joining the Americans. NATO had a meeting in 2002, and it had been agreed that NATO was going to accept the American ballistic missile defense system and was to join in. And in Canada, we had almost no discussion about it. It was a margin minority government. And when we had an MOU that was basically set and sealed, like all the other NATO countries were doing, for political purposes, there were several of the Liberal MPs. The allegations is that they were in Quebec, but that's never been confirmed in any written aspect. And they told Martin that if he went ahead with ballistic missile defense, for reasons that were never explained, they would make the government fall. And for reasons we also don't understand, we know that Martin then fell subsequently. The Harper government, though making noises that it accepted missile defense, never opted to join. I'd like to make one thing, and I have to make this perfectly clear. NATO has accepted the U.S. ABM treaty. Canada has accepted, and you can go to the declaration, the Warsaw Declaration under Article, I think it's 33, and it says that Canada accepts the fact that BMD is there to protect European countries. So we are the only country, and we also have to include the Japanese and the Australians that came on board of the American allies and friends that are not protected by the AABM for what is just, quite frankly, political rationales.
And now Canada's rethinking ballistic missile defense. So how is the situation right now in 2022 different compared to 2005?
Well, when I listen to the exact words of the defense minister, it alarms me because, once again, we've developed this element within this current government. We're always thinking, we're going to examine. I mean, you go all back to strong, secure, and engaged, our defense policy, where we were going to examine modernization of NORAD. And here we are in 2022, and we haven't done anything of the sort. So first and foremost, I'm very hesitant whenever I hear any of the ministers say they're thinking. It's usually, we want to put this off till people stop paying attention. What I find the most problematic is that all she is talking about is joining the Americans on the anti-ballistic missile defense. And now those are the weapons that will destroy humanity. Let's be clear on that. And so the defensive systems, of course, are important. The real threat that has now emerged are what are called hypersonic missiles. Now, some of them are semi-ballistic, but most of them are actually operating within the atmosphere. And so the question comes, is she using that as sort of a term when she says Canada is thinking about this? Are we truly thinking about the type of missile delivery systems that both the Japanese or that the Chinese and the Russians have created? Or once again, is she just playing to the audience and hoping no one notices that they don't do anything, as they haven't done anything since the strong, secure, and engaged?
All right, Dr. Huebert, a quick 30 seconds left here, but what are you watching for next as this situation develops?
Well, I'm looking for actual decisions where monies are being allocated, where we say we're not thinking about having ballistic defense. We're actually saying, okay, this is the systems we're tying into. This is how we're going to contribute to this threat, and a clear understanding that our leaders actually understand what the technology and threats are in 2022.
All right, Dr. Huebert, thank you again for joining us today.
My pleasure.